to this application. The board reviews against the criteria in the ordinance and makes decisions based on whether the project meets these requirements, not on our opinions or desires. I would caution against letting people speak twice, as we could have public speaking back and forth and replying to each other. It is a chance for them to speak to you, to me, but the board, and not to each other, and not to dialogue with the applicant.
Mr. Chairman, for the minutes, will you identify the board, please?
Okay, the board is Ted Baker and Bruce Pierce, and myself, I'm John Gochi, otherwise known as Gooch. This is Peter, whose last name
Roberts.
is Roberts, whose name escapes me right now. This is Becky. She's our
Peter's the applicant. He's not on the board.
yes. Peter's the applicant, not on the board. And this is Becky. She's our recording secretary. Is that true?
Not on the board.
Not on the board.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that's our CEO, Joelle, and
Also
she's not on the board either. Is that everybody?
There's one board member absent.
Acres is absent.
Yes, our one board member, Randy Akers, is absent. And we'll see if he comes in or not. How would you like to start this?
Generally, the applicant gives a description of the project.
So Peter, give a description of what's going on.
Okay, if you're not familiar with the Merrill Hill area of the resort, it's a residential development that Sunday River purchased and developed with chairlift and ski trails. We're adding another chairlift on the north aspect of Merrill Hill and 3 new trails that serve the residential development above and come down to the base of the lift. So skiers would ride that lift back to the top and then ski down the south aspect of Merrill Hill to get back to the resort. There are 3 ski trails, 2 ski bridges where the trails come over Morganite Way, which is one of the subdivision roads that exists now from the previous development. And then the chairlift is a fixed grip triple chair. Is that good? Also have full-size plans to display as well.
The planning board has been reviewing this for the last couple of months with changes several times. And we've deemed it to be complete, and we've also deemed it in need of on-site review and a public hearing. And this is the public hearing. Who'd like to go first?
Don't all raise your hands at once.
Somebody's gotta go first.
You go ahead.
I'll try to be quick.
And your name, sir?
My name's Tom Ketchum.
And your address?
My wife Karen and I have a home at 78 Gooseye.
What is it?
78 Gooseye Drive,
78 Blue Sky?
yep, within the Mahoosic Glen subdivision.
Tom, are you a resident or are you from away?
I was born and raised in Maine and graduated down the road, but I'm from away.
Right, you're not a resident.
I'm a taxpayer in Newry, I'm not a resident in Newry, yes sir.
Two very different things. Thank you.
No problem. I currently serve as the president of the Mahoosic Glen Homeowners Association, or MGHA, and my board has authorized me giving you this statement this evening. The association is in favor of the Merrill Hill project. We have no intent to delay it. We do have intent to communicate our concerns to the planning board for their consideration. We do have intent to work expeditiously to settle any of our remaining questions. We have an open and active relationship with Sunday River Executive Management as well as the senior engineer. This has allowed us to discuss not only the concerns with the Merrill Hill project, but other areas we naturally interact as neighbors. Sunday River is also an owner in our association. We met last week when the main focus was the Merrill Hill project. Association presented two areas for discussion: construction phase disturbance and stormwater drainage. Construction phase disturbance we covered were there plans for construction access from Monkey Brook Road. If so, where would that be? How would it be decommissioned or secured after the project? How would parking for worker vehicles be handled? Might there be any times where Monkey Brook would be temporarily blocked? And were there any plans to leverage MGHA roads for traffic reroutes, parking, staging of equipment, or using the egress at Wilderness or Trillium for positioning equipment or deliveries? We received and accepted assurances that association roads would not be leveraged, and if Monkey Brook were to be blocked for any length of time, then a 24-hour notice would be given. We discussed that final determination of site access would be delivered as part of the planning board permit. And we went out this evening and we looked at the area, and I understand there are still some decisions to be made. On stormwater drainage, we focused on the existing culverts under Monkey Brook Road. We have 5, 6, 7 culverts in total, and we're interested in the flows there. We would like to know which of any of these would see any increased water flow, what impact, if any, would snowmaking operations have on the water flow, and were there any additives in the snowmaking that might impact the groundwater. We received and accepted assurances there are no additives in the snowmaking process that would cause concern. We discussed that made snow may melt at a slower rate and prolong the spring runoff. It was agreed we would work with the Sunday River engineer to understand our stormwater questions. The MGH board members have additionally reviewed the runoff analysis presented in the DEP permit application. Not being civil engineers, we have decided that we need to engage a certified professional to do the following: review the stormwater system plan for Merrill Hill, analyze the MGHA stormwater system in place, determine level of impact, if any, to the MGHA stormwater system, and then present conclusions for review with the Sunday River engineer. MGHA is working to engage a civil engineering firm to perform this work, and as of today, we have not secured one. Given the information that I've just mentioned, we would have the following asks of the planning board. Consider allowing MGHA some near-term amount of time to complete or fail to complete professional stormwater analysis work, and request some level of specificity be provided on the made snow runoff. Respectfully submitted, MGHA.
Oh, good, thank you. Thoughts, Peter?
Just that I've spoken with Tom and tried to be as transparent as I can, and will continue to do so.
Let's see. We have McGorl and Palmer.
Goral and Palmer.
Right. Would it be appropriate if the Mahoosic Glen Homeowners Association also employed them?
I think we ought to get through the rest of the meeting, and then that may work itself out through the application and review of the different standards in the UDRO.
Okay? You were next, I believe.
Andy Baker, I live at 15 Casita Lane. I do live here. Not from a wet fly, I was originally, but anyway. Anyhow, I have two concerns. One is Section H, Stormwater Management, page 61, Section 13, number 5. The storm drainage system will not adversely affect neighboring properties, downstream water quality, or cause soil erosion whenever possible. On-site absorption of the runoff water shall be utilized to minimize discharges from the site. I would like the town to please continue to monitor this So much vegetation has been removed, it stands to reason that more water, organic and inorganic debris will wash off the mountain into the Sunday River, which could cause adverse conditions for neighbors and downstream residents. That's good. And number 2, section X, vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Number 2, safeguard against hazards to traffic, pedestrians on existing roads and within the development. People will walk whether you want them to or not. I've noticed when I'm working up at Sunday River in the evenings that there's no lighting along the roadways, so that people that are in black, the lift attendants that are walking back to their rooms, or people that want to walk from Southridge down to Lot 5, it's really not lit well enough, so that I'm worried that people could get hurt there. And I'm also concerned about people up on Monkey Brook thinking that they can walk over, and obviously there's no lighting there. Number 8, minimize traffic congestion on any road. Adding 200 parking spaces really won't help the congestion. What I see is that everybody wants to be at Southridge to park as close to the base as the building as possible, or at least go and dump their stuff off and then head back. My main concern is all the congestion that's coming into, off of 26 onto Sunday River, to the point where we really can't get out of the road, our road, if we wanted to. Provide safe and convenient circulation on public roads and within the development, which is number C of X. How will this be accomplished? Discourage through traffic through residential subdivisions. Should street lighting be required by the board, it shall be installed by the developer as approved by the board. The cost of installation shall be responsible of the developer and comply with municipal specifications. Sunday River needs to plan for the worst scenario. They also say that they want to be very good neighbors. As far as I'm concerned, actions speak louder than words.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, Mrs. Baker and myself live under the same roof. We are spiritually and legally bound to each other. However, I attest that I have not discussed the application with her in the course of the last 4 weeks.
Okay.
You won't even discuss it with me as a neighbor.
You're not supposed to.
That's right.
You're not supposed to. We can't even like have coffee together. We have discussed doing a traffic study. And I believe it was part of the conditions of approval for the Barker Mountain chairlift replacement.
Yeah, it wasn't just discussed, it was put in writing.
It was put in writing, yes. So, in the coming winter, not the one that started tonight, there are to be traffic studies, especially on the busy weekends, to see what is really going on and see what we can do about improving the situation. Thoughts, gentlemen?
This is
Believe the process
point,
has
a
been
point of
started.
order. This is just a public hearing. We're not discussing anything yet as a board.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. I just want to know if they had any thoughts.
Okay.
Anyone else? Yes,
I
ma'am.
can follow that because this is in reference to traffic also. My name is Jill Kenny, I live at 1030 Sunday River Road. I wrote a letter to the board back in March, and I've learned a few things since then, so I just want to add some more comments to following up on that. In one of these planning board meetings, just sitting right here, the sentence was said that this new project would not impact traffic. I have some questions about that. And actually, this is from our town UDRO, that states section X, number B, the development is required to minimize traffic congestion on any road. That ship has sailed. I mean, this traffic congestion, for me to leave my home on a Saturday, or weekend, or holiday is virtually impossible. I sit at that Sunday River Skiway intersection for who knows how long. And it doesn't take very long. If there's even 4 or 5 cars in that line, 5 or 6 minutes per car adds up. So it's very difficult to get out of there. So I want that to be considered. The second one is UDRO Section 8, letter C, which is on page 66, that says the development applicant provide a safe and convenient circulation on public roads. Often when leaving, and this is even on midweek days, especially if it snows, I have to make a right-hand turn to go left. I go up the road, make a U-turn, possibly in Red Farm Village or wherever I can get across, to go back out to the road. So to me, that's the very definition of inconvenient. So I want that to go on record as well. My second point was UDRO Section 5, which is under the criteria of approval section, letter C.
What
Let
page
me
is
read
that?
that one. The proposed development will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions. The congestion is already unreasonable. I think going forward, as the development goes west, that the intersection of the skiway and Sunday River Road has got to be addressed first before any major development goes on. I'm not opposed to the project at all. I see 70 days a year, but I also would like to be able to leave my home when I need to, or to know that rescue vehicles can come into my road. I have a bit of disagreement with the 10 days per year, that this is an impact, because I think it's more than that. I think the way our jobs have changed over the years, there's a lot more people skiing midweek, and it can be just as bad on a midweek day to get out of that intersection as on the weekend. So actually, basically that's it. I just want the planning board to consider my community's safety in making your decision, and to keep our neighborhoods in mind when you do that. Thanks.
Anyone else?
So my name is Patrick Hunt. I represent Main Mountain Homes, who owns Lot 50 on Monkey Brook Road. I'm a resident of Bethel on Grover Hill Road. So this spring, Sunday River installed a new culvert under Monkey Brook Road, which flows into a buffer zone and flows through my property. There's more development above this pending approval, which the public hearing is being held on tonight, which will undoubtedly cause an additional increase of water flow into my lot and others in Mahoosic Glen. So firstly, the buffer zone was disturbed, and what I describe as a plunge pool was created, and per DEP regulation, this buffer area is to be undisturbed. This, along with increases of flow from Merrill Hill, changed the historic flow of water and allowed the water to channelize, eroding out the right side of the buffer and flowing through my property, which I have a picture of here that I'll leave with you guys. The DEP language on this reads, distribution of runoff over the buffer. To be treated, runoff must enter the buffer as a sheet flow and cannot be allowed to channelize. Buffers will not treat shallow, concentrated, or build up to prevent erosion, and this is creating a lot of erosion and sediment buildup. I'm now dealing with erosion and setup and buildup on my lot, and as you can see, this is new erosion. As you can see, the roots that are left from the eroded areas. Per the main building and energy code, nothing was done to notify me that my property would become flooded by their development. The flow now exceeds the easement and deed restriction standards set forth in the original plan for said buffer on my property. The main uniform building and energy code is very clear on what is to be done with an easement for this, and it states that when an easement is required, the applicant must secure the easements from the affected property owners when the project results in any of the following on off-site property not owned by the applicant. 1, the flow type changes, for example, converting from sheet flow to channelized flow. the flow channel changes or the flow causes increasing flooding, which I'm experiencing all of. And for erosive flows, the flow through the easement or flooding within the easement may not cause erosion of the soil or sedimentation. Right now, from what I've looked at, I'm missing about 15 to 20 yards of material from my property. I also believe that this project does not meet the redistribution of stormwater standards in Mubic, as it discharges concentrated stormwater runoff through an open channel or pipe to any point that is not an open channel, an inlet to a storm drain system, or a natural man-made impoundment. And it does not convert water to a sheet flow to prevent erosion of the downstream receiving area. I've had Peter out on my site twice. I've been emailing Sunday River on this matter with no resolution or response beyond acknowledgement of receipt of my emails. To this date, I have no response with a solution to this problem. I've been trying to be reasonable. So just to be brief, I'm currently dealing with an increase in historic flow throughout the buffer zone and beyond, extensive flooding during rain events and following them on the majority of my lot, extension erosion, as I mentioned, on my lot inside and outside the buffer zone, channelized flow through my lot inside and outside the buffer zone, sediment buildup on my lot inside and outside of the buffer zone, and an inability to form a development plan for my property due to the uncertainty of what issues I will have in the future, especially if this Merrill Hill expansion is permitted as is, and I'm not opposed to that, just to put that on the record. I do think that it's important to be able to have this mountain expand, to grow the local economy. And as of now, given the margins calculated by my real estate agent and I and historic timeframes to complete similar sized house projects, I'm losing on average between $2,087 to $2,777 a day. So I'm asking the board to firstly require an independent third-party engineering firm to reevaluate all permits submitted by Sunday River to the DEP in the town of Newry. Secondly, require the DEP permits be resubmitted to reflect the lack of data on snowmaking runoff and the effect that it will have below Monkey Brook Road. As Peter had stated to me, that wasn't considered when they submitted those applications. Thirdly, set conditions of approval on the project contingent on restoration and remediation of my lot and other affected lots. I request that Sunday River Skiway be held responsible for the restoration and remediation of my land to its pre-development condition, including the implementation of erosion control measures for the restoration of the deeded buffer zone of runoff. I ask the board ensure that no lot having water flow higher than DEP approval for the drainage system existing through Mahoosic Glen. And I'm looking for injunction relief, and I'm asking that the board issue an injunction restricting Sunday River Skiway from further violating the DEP flooding standard and undertaking any development activities that cause harm to my property. And I'm just trying to find a solution now so I don't have to resort to other measures. Thank you.
You guys? Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we have the thing that you just read?
There's all of it.
You want all of
How
it?
many copies?
No, I have it on tape, but, yeah, what he said is taped, so
I'm happy to email it to you guys as well.
I don't need
You don't need it? I guess we don't need it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
There's somebody else over there. No?
I think it's me. Everybody go ahead. My name is David Powell. I live at 2 Wilderness Drive. And my wife and one of my sons lives in our house. We are year-round residents, and we've been year-round residents for 15 years. We are skiers and we are golfers and hikers and enjoy the area very much. I submitted through Joelle on Monday a letter to you. So this is a copy of that letter. I think that was.
They don't have it.
I think we've got it.
Yeah, but just for the record,
Oh, this
you
one?
have it with all the photos and everything.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So there's no way I can reread that letter in 5 minutes. I didn't know I had 5 minutes. But what I'd like to do is use this moment to say a few things and also be able to just review some videos. Because really our lives and our home and our excuse me, our property is kind of like the poster child of what has kind of gone wrong at Merrill Hill. And there's been an effort to work things out, amiable, and Peter's come to my property several times, and I think he takes things seriously, and I really, really appreciate that. But the problem is, no particular action has been taken to resolve it, and there's a lot of damage that's happened to our property. So, can I ask you a quick question?
Mhm.
If you go to view right now,
Hang on, I have to get out of this.
okay, yeah. So hopefully it does not 5.5.
It does, it does. So you wanna go to view?
Well,
I'd rather not, this isn't, not all of this pertains to you.
okay, well then we'll just have to go through it in not a particularly good order, but let's just go ahead. You have 12 videos there.
I don't have 12, no, because you didn't send 12.
I did. But I can start my laptop and,
Well, first, I guess the board needs to know, none of these videos that you sent me, only one of them had any identifying mark to let us know where it was. The rest of them is just water through woods, they're lawns.
well, I have them all marked. So, what would you like to do, Mr. Chairman?
What do you
I think
wanna do?
it would help to be
These are
able
the
to
same
see some of
videos
these
as the
videos.
photos.
Yeah.
This would be a good video to watch.
Well, what is it?
Right.
Sure. So my house is situated right here, and this was the view at 5:30 in the morning, with an entirely new set of streams that had developed on the right-hand side of my house as a result of water passing down Morganite under a new culvert, which used to be 18 and is now 24 inches, into a pool that you could see, and then under Monkey Brook Road, and you'll see more videos in a moment, through part of my yard, under my driveway, and then this is kind of a blowout that happens at the end of the culvert that dumps onto our property. It's also dumped on the property next to this, which is called Lot 15. And here's a view of the actual amount of water, but there's better ones that show that it actually begins to overrun and overflow with a massive amount of water. But click through it and see what you got.
I only have the 4, because that's all I found.
That's okay. Well, I have more here. But this is a very revealing photo right here. This is Morganite, and this is the massive amount of water which is new. Now, there's always been a little bit of water coming down the right-hand side. But you can see that if you compare the amount of the water coming down next to Monkey Brook versus Morganite, all of this water ends up passing through our yard. As a result, it has done major excavation to our yard. We've also lost many, many yards of soil, which is down the way. This is another river, by the way, which is in front of our house, between our house and the driving range, and to just show you the volume of water that is passing through. We don't have any problem with this because it functions extremely well. It has for the last 15 years. And it's gotten much higher than this at times. But we have major concerns about what has happened to our property.
20 seconds left.
I have 3 seconds left?
20.
Well, I think it's a bit unfair because I don't think that I've had adequate time to explain things. But I have presented a letter to you, and you have all the photos, and you can see the damage. And I'm asking Sunday River to voluntarily stop the flow of water through our yard. And I think that the board needs to seriously consider what has already gone wrong in the first stage of development and how much worse it's going to get as a result of adding 3 ski trails, additional excavation, bridges, etc. We are kind of the poster child of what's happened, but it can also happen to many other homeowners within our development. My one last point is...
You're over by 20 seconds.
Okay,
It's not up
well,
to
then
me, it's up to
I'll-
the chairman.
It's up to you, John.
It's okay with me.
Okay. Well, I mean, we also have just some core concerns about, you know, toxicity of water passing right through our yard, right next to our well. whatever is coming down that hill, construction, materials, excavated, be it arsenic or whatever it is. I'm a chemist. I've worked in water treatment as a chairman of the board. I know a fair amount of these things, and I think they're all very legitimate concerns. I think that I need to work out my own issues with Sunday River about the damage to my house, but I would like Sunday River to stop the flow of water because it does not need to pass through our property. It can actually pass right down Monkey Brook Road to the next culvert and come across, which is highly functional, 24 inches in diameter, plastic, and it would solve my particular problem. I think that's a summary I'd like to share.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Bruce?
Bruce Pierce, resident, 1014 Sunday River Road, Newry, Maine, year-round resident. I guess my concern is that, you know, as Peter and Jill, Ted and Bambi and myself, you know, we're all neighbors, and we all live on the Sunday River, and we're all downhill of Merrill Hill. And I guess my concern is, it probably is going to go, it's got to go beyond what it is, that, you know, we're seeing, you know, these 100-year weather events happening every 5 years now almost, you know, and these events are occurring. And we had, on our property, it was, you know, a lot of water damage that came through on our 3 properties. And my concern is that for storm water coming off of development that is going, and it's going to be the expansion of the development, is there foresight, you know, to look in the future, saying like, wow, so yeah, we've got a 14, you know, we've got a 24-inch culvert. So do we need to put a 36-inch? Do we need to, you know, to look down the road a little bit and look for mitigation? How can we, you know, help mitigate the future? You know, instead of saying like, well, we're going to build it to present standards. You know, whereas, you know, if these events keep happening the way that they're happening, and we see it all over the country, you know, is it going to be something that we're going to have to adapt to somehow, and the rules are going to have to change somewhere? You know, is that something that, you know, as a development team to look forward to say like, okay, yeah, we need to protect our investment, you know, and take care of our neighbors, and maybe, so you, I guess when you say oversize them, you know, or look to the future of, you know, how can we address this situation instead of coming back and saying like, well, gee, when we did it, you know, it was what the standard was. So, just my concern is just the weather events are happening, and they're happening more frequently.
It's true.
Weather happens. That's all I got.
Anyone else?
Can I ask another question, or is my time done?
If you can, yes, you can.
I have a question for Peter. For the construction,
I'm sorry, that needs to go to the chair, and he'll ask Peter.
oh, all right,
Thank you.
whatever the rule. During the construction, will you be using the same Sunday River pit that's past our properties? Again, during the summer of '21, the dump trucks were 5 a.m. till 7 p.m. at night. And my question is, will we be using that same pit during this construction? And is there a way to limit the trucking to maybe 12 hours a day instead of what it was before? And the second part of that is, could we please put some signs up indicating heavy trucking? Because we have so many visitors and guests that use that road for biking and little children walking their dogs, whatever, that are, it's a situation that needs to be addressed,
Aside from the 2 accidents.
aside from the power outages and the accidents.
Well, Peter, are you going to be using the same gravel pit, and how many dump trucks a day?
Well, we haven't finalized the decision about sourcing fill. I guess I'd like to acknowledge the fall of 2021, we got behind schedule and had to hustle really hard. And that was a bad situation for both you and me. And it was not something that I would ever intend to do again, but we're committed to following the town ordinances and the state laws. And we're committed to making sure that we're in line with whatever we get from the code enforcement officer. And signage, I guess, that would be a decision by the road commissioner, is that true?
That is true, for the record. That would come from the road commissioners, which are the selectmen. Out at the pit, they do put up, you know, trucks entering, trucks exiting, but that's about the only signage. I think we had a sign that went up at the intersection of Monkey Brook Road saying trucks.
But that was 5 months after
Well,
the project
but it was very
started. So
quickly
maybe-
after
maybe
the
we
town
could-
was asked.
Uh,
So that's all I can say.
Yeah,
Yeah. Depends who you asked, I think.
this office.
I understand it was this office, but who in this office is the question. Because we did have an administrator that.
Unless you live there, you don't realize the impact that that road has on bikers and runners and skate skiers training. And it is.
It's a public road though, they're also responsible for their public safety. I mean, I can't help that there's trucks and buses and me and
But
a
all
bunch
I'm
of
asking is
everybody else.
notification, not that you
Yeah.
change anything,
Okay.
just to give those people a heads up.
Point of order.
Sorry.
Our discussions are supposed to be routed to the chairman.
Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that the abutters are looking for is notification of heavy trucking. I don't know if that's addressed in ordinances, but I feel pretty comfortable saying if we were to get painted into a corner like that again, that I'd be willing to contact the abutters and let them know what's going on.
Would it be possible to limit trucking from 7 AM to 5 PM instead of 5 AM to 7 PM?
Well, we're gonna abide by the town ordinances.
Yeah, it's 7 to 7 in our ordinance, Bruce.
Well, what?
It's 7 to 7 in our ordinance.
Okay.
So, all of it. Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, one thing that got disputed pretty heavily in 2021 was the difference between traffic and construction noise. And so we're definitely committed to following the construction noise guidelines in the ordinance. The traffic is a little bit of a different story, but any state laws, any town ordinances, we're absolutely committed to following them.
Anyone else? Everyone's quiet. Had enough? Yes, sir.
Peter Kenny, 1030 Sunday River Road. My question would be, who is the go-to person at Sunday River as a clearinghouse for any situations that might arise, such as traffic or what have you? Just a person, and that's the question. Who's the go-to person?
Dana, can you answer that question?
I'll pass out your cell phone number.
You have it, Bruce. Public safety at Sunday River, for any situations, is where, Peter, you have sent people when there are situations that either we or our vendors have created that appear to be or are. Public safety would be a good place to start with that, and then they can route that to the appropriate people. I think, right, yes, I think that's the place to go. There are different people in the resorts that deal with different things. We have 300 full-time year-round folks, and then in the winter we have a lot of team members. But if there is a situation that is unsafe, public safety would be where to address that situation too. and we can get the number for the record. I don't know it off the top of my head.
8245054.
Thank you.
824 what?
8245054.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, aside from public safety, such things as noises or truckers, engine braking, or this, that, or the next thing, construction noises, I don't know. I'm not talking about public safety per se, I'm talking about issues in general.
Paul? You want to answer that, Peter?
Well, I assigned the abutter notice, and my first, contact information's on the abutter notice. So anything related to the application, everyone who received an abutter notice has my information, you can contact me with.
We're not butters, but we're impacted.
Okay, I don't know if my information is on the notification for a public hearing, but with questions related to this project, and
I guess my question is there a project manager who manages these things?
yeah, I think for the sake of questions that relate to town ordinances, going through Joel makes sense as the first step. And then if there's general questions that are not related to town ordinances, then I would be the person who can dispatch you to whoever needs to be contacted.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Everyone's quiet. I will declare this public hearing over.
Adjourned.
Adjourned. There we go. That was a better word. If we would like, we are now going to start a planning board meeting.
Hold on, let's change that.
Yeah, we're gonna change hats, go to the bathroom and such things. I'll go, get some water.
Does anybody need water? Bruce?
I-
Water?
I'm all set right now, thanks,
Okay.
Bill.
I'm gonna put water back here in case anybody wants some water. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, so the second.
You good?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, don't you know what I know about your like, let's do your changeover.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay.
You didn't find them.
No, they're locked up in the money cabinet. You're not too bad, you're just.
No, don't take the,
I'm
I'm
not.
I'm doing this one.
Oh, okay.
This
The
one.
minutes are fine, it's the, finding the facts. Oh,
Oh.
see? Are we in session or are we in break right now?
We're in break.
Yeah, I don't think I'll remember that. I don't know why we don't have an AC charger. Plug it into the wall, but. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't do this one. I'm used to me. If she wants it to select board, she'll fix it. Can I take the public hearing stuff away from you guys, just to
Sure.
clean this
I
up?
was telling you that it's gonna go down.
We'll take that. This, this,
I'm not even gonna turn this one. It's already got it.
okay?
Taking my stuff in,
If you want me to,
well, is that,
I can search. That's up to you if you want to keep that in your record.
no, I'll take it.
John's is the permanent record. You're done?
I hope so.
Right.
We'll find out here when I start explaining. You ready, gentlemen?
Ready to go?
Ted?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
7/17.
Okay, it's 7:17. It's Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023, and this is the Newry Planning Board. First on the agenda is attendance and determination of quorum. We have 3 members here, Ted, Bruce, and I, and so we have a quorum. Second,
Just for the record, Randy Akers is absent.
Randy Akers is absent, yes. Review of voting eligibility. We're all 3 here the last meeting, so we're all eligible to vote. Number 3, minutes of prior meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes of the last meeting which occurred on May 3rd, 2023, as drafted.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the meeting of May 3rd, 2023. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3.
2.
3. Okay, let's see. Another piece of paper. Number 4. A, continued review of Sunday River Skiway Corp. Map 17, lot 22, A3, R15, lot 13.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda and that we put item B for business first before we continue on with the discussion on the Merrill Hill application. Item B is the finding of facts for the Barker lift replacement.
Do we need a motion on this?
It's a change to the agenda, sir.
I think we do need a motion.
I made that motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
1.
2.
3. Okay, we are tabling A temporarily, and we're going to B, findings of fact for Barker Mountain Express replacement ski lift or Doppelmayr sixth place lift. See, it's right. Here it is.
It's the second one you emailed out.
Okay. Oh,
There were 2 corrections made after I sent it out Monday.
okay.
Ted found 2 corrections I made, so these were sent out this morning.
These are the updated printed
Those
ones.
are the updated ones in your packet, yes.
Becky, will you remind us of the corrections, please? The page and the section?
Yep, on page 4, under, at the board's April 5th meeting, the second motion, where in section 10, you see that application procedure? So, for the vote, even though the prior sentence said Ted Baker and Bruce Pierce voted in opposition, Randy Akers abstained, the one I sent out Monday incorrectly said the vote 2 in favor, motion passed, and this is correctly saying vote is 2 in opposition, motion failed.
I was
And then,
wondering about that.
and then on page 9, under conformity with local ordinances and plans, in the finding of fact sentence, the second line, tabled and considered after the previously tabled criteria. The Monday version said tabled and considered after the previously tabled criteria for resolve. So that D was just, the S was changed to a D.
I'll admit that then I got the arrows cross-eyed.
Like 13 pages of stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the findings of fact and rules of law and conclusions of law for application number 23-276. Barker Mountain Express chairlift replacement upgrade with the corrections as noted and as currently presented to us.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the findings of facts for application number 23-276. Barker Mountain Express chairlift replacement upgrade. All those in favor?
1,
2,
3. I got it.
And you have the same person. Today's the second.
Bruce. You gonna get Bruce to witness it? Okay. Here, 2 lines, Bruce. You get the chairman, you'll have to do 1 line. Okay, back to business. A, continued review of Sunday River Speedway Corp. Map 17, lot 2A3 and R13, lot 13.
Mr. Chairman, as a point of order, at the just adjourned public hearing, a member of the board spoke at the public hearing with potential bias towards this application. I therefore have to make the motion that the vice chair be recused from reviewing this application.
Oh my, you're gonna leave it all on 2 of us?
That's the question.
We're younger than you. You can't do this to us.
After, we need a second first review if you want to proceed or not.
Well, if he wishes to be recused, I don't know why we can't let him do it.
So it's my turn to speak?
No, we need a second on the motion first, please.
I'll second the motion.
Now we can go into discussion. Before you speak, I'd like to give the opportunity to the applicant to voice their opinion and their desires as to the issue.
This has come up one time before. Bruce made comments by email, and I guess the comment that or my response last time would be the same now. I feel that a board of 3 is a better representation of what the town wants and needs, and so I don't have an issue with Bruce staying as a voting member.
Do I get to speak now? Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just for the record, it was not my intention to, I don't have any bias over anything, it was just it was a question to ask, you know, of future thoughts, and that's all it was. It wasn't a bias, to me it wasn't a biased opinion, but that can be read differently.
So you're not asking to be recused too?
No, I'm not, yeah, no, I'm good, I don't want to be recused.
So Ted would sit there quietly.
If you think I should
There's
be.
there's a motion that needs to be,
Well, we're still discussing it.
oh, okay.
Yes, yes, we haven't
Okay.
gone anywhere yet. So do you feel that you're biased, I guess is the question.
No, I do not. I feel like I said, my intent was just to ask a question about the thoughts of weather patterns and changing things and stuff like that. You know, that's all that was.
I tend to agree with thoughts about weather changing.
You know, it was not an intention to say like, well, you know, you need to do this or make it any form of criteria or approval or whatever, whoever, it's just a question.
Well, I grew up right here, went to school right in this building 50 years ago, 60 years ago. God, that's a long time ago. And back then, it didn't rain in the wintertime. It does now. So things are changing. The motion on the floor is whether the vice chair can be or should be recused. Which is the correct?
Should be.
Should be. Thoughts?
I already said my thoughts. You know, if you feel that I should be recused, then
Well, if you
I
both
will-
get recused, we don't have a quorum.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
there you go.
I'm it.
No.
No.
No, you got
I'm not-
Ted.
I'm
He-
good.
He's not,
Two.
I'm not recused,
You're not.
no.
Oh,
That was already handled in the last meeting,
oh,
and the board found that I was unbiased.
so you're trying to get him recused?
No, I'm not trying to get, I'm just bringing a point that there were comments made by a member of the board at a public hearing, and therefore, the board needs to, unfortunately, discuss the matter and decide on how to proceed.
So
Well-
you either vote in favor or oppose.
Right.
So at the last meeting, the issue was your being an abutter.
Being in a butter, correct.
And we determined that seeing you're an abutter, but it's across the river and up the hill, it wasn't an issue. And this time, you made a comment during a public hearing. You did, didn't,
I did not, I could
no,
not,
he didn't say anything.
except for a point of order on the code enforcement officer.
oh, okay.
So now you just need to call for a vote.
Yes, I know, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. How do you wanna word this, Ted?
The motion that was made was that the vice chair of the board had made a comment at the public hearing that could be taken as being biased, and therefore, the motion was for, that he should be recused. That is the motion for you and I to consider. The applicant has stated that he is not opposed to having the vice chair continue on the board for the application. For the record, I am not opposed to that, and will probably vote in opposition to the motion,
Okay,
which just leaves you.
that leaves me. Okay, so the motion is to recuse Bruce. This is true. Okay, and it's been moved, and I seconded it?
You did.
I did. It's been moved and seconded that Bruce be recused. Recused, okay. All those in favor? All those opposed?
1.
2? That is carried. You don't get
So
to
can I
go.
vote now? Again?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yes, yes you can, obviously.
Shout out.
Okay, now we're on
That's the agenda.
it. Back to the agenda. Peter, what, did you provided a new map?
Yes, I provided a few documents. First of all, I have the certified mail receipts for the notification for the public hearings. I don't know if you want a copy of those or just
Do you
send
want to take them
pictures.
for a permanent copy? Do you want to see them?
No, I don't need to see them, I can just, mark that they
Thank
were
you.
submitted.
Do you want to count?
I'll give you a count. I don't know how many percent, so. I don't know.
So there were a couple things requested. One was a certificate of good standing from the Secretary of State for Sunday River Skiway Corporation. This was sent by email, so I don't know if you guys have copies or not.
We've all seen them.
No,
I forwarded it,
you don't
yeah.
have that in your final application, correct?
Do you want it attached to the final application?
It's part of the application, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, if you want it attached to the application, we can do that.
Or it's
I have
one of the enclosures of many to your application.
Okay, next, there was a drawing revision requested, so I've got some 11 by 17 copies of that, and I also have full-size stamped copies on each sheet. And these are also sent by email.
Thank you.
This is one of the buildings shown on
Yep.
it. I've got it.
Okay. So there was a point brought up that the application states that all existing buildings within a certain radius of the project needed to be shown, and so Mr. Powell's house had not been shown on the house, or on the site plan, so we added that.
What? Bruce, turn it the other way.
That's monkey road right there. That's it down here. It's off the list, right there.
Peter, do you have any other revisions to present to the board?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I think we can move on or check off this.
You think what?
Well, go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering, because I don't think this is something that Peter brought.
Nope,
I
that was
think-
what Loretta gave to me.
Right, we mailed it, but I just think for the record that we should state that, the town's received.
Okay, so the town
So,
has received,
so this is, notification from the town to Sunday River about the amount of the penalty for taking the property out of tree growth.
Yep.
Tax, and that check was mailed. Did you guys get it?
I have no idea. Loretta handed me the letter.
Yeah.
I don't handle
I put
it.
that check in your office, did you mail it?
No, Kelly brought it over.
Okay, so that check was hand delivered, paying that penalty.
May I ask a question on that letter? Just out of curiosity, how many acres were taken out?
All of them.
200 and something acres.
Yeah, that was, no, I was curious.
Yep.
Just the lot 2A or whatever it's called on the, you're not taking the land that you're believe that your fillings are on the other side of the river out or anything like that.
Correct, just 2 acres.
Just the parcels that the,
South of Monkey Brook Road.
yes, just the parcels that the project is in.
So, where the terminal is, the bottom terminal, and all the way up to Morganite, that was all in tree growth.
Yes.
And beyond that too.
And also,
Continuing on up Monkey Brook Road, west of Merle Hill subdivision. Correct? That's all part of that same lot,
Some of it, yeah.
But not across the street.
not across the street, up just that
And
whole
to the
area.
east of the terminal,
Part of that parcel extends to the east of the terminal.
okay.
There's another butter that's relatively close there.
You wanna see, John? Is this what you're asking?
This is the lot. It starts up here in Narrow Hill. Is that what you're asking
Okay,
about?
that's 13A,
We're trying to
and
figure out
that's
what came out of
A to
Yeah.
2A3.
that one.
283, yeah.
What's that?
That's the road,
That's that road.
that's Morganite.
Oh, okay. So, this is a subdivision road, but it's a subdivision road that actually goes
It's
through,
a right of way to a subdivision right now.
okay.
Do I have that right, Peter?
Yep.
Okay.
And the right of way was through a parcel of tree growth,
Correct.
okay. And this is developed?
No, that's where the ski lifts go,
No, ski lift's going.
He was
Kinda-
going
kinda
right-
like
right
this.
there, right up like
Yeah.
that.
kinda like that.
Okay.
This trail. All right along, well, it's not, the red's just,
Yeah, it's, yeah, ready there.
Right, this road is this road, right?
Yes.
This is
Mhm.
the road.
So I guess the question is, are there plans to put a subdivision in this?
not that we're aware of at this time, there's nothing in front of the board.
Okay.
Yeah, any future development would be brought before the board.
We'll just leave it.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, may we move along with the checkoff sheet for this application, please?
So is that the proposed conditions of approval?
No,
Does-
we're at our waivers,
No, they're talking about your
Oh,
little
that
tracker
one.
sheet.
yeah, we tabled it at waivers requested.
Okay,
That's probably in your pile back there.
it's probably in my pile back there, but
You can borrow
I'll
mine.
just read his. Peter, any waivers requested?
Yeah, there was one waiver requested to basically disjoin the DEP approval from having to come before the town approval. The waiver would make it so that we submit the DEP approval to the town,
When it gets here.
whenever it gets here.
And you haven't seen it yet?
I have not seen it yet.
And that
Okay.
construction wouldn't start.
Mr. Chairman, that waiver is item number 3081 on the application submitted by the applicant. Page 7 of 8.
Well, we went round and round on this one.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that the board accept the waiver, let's see how, the conditional approval be granted by the town with, that requires let me rephrase this. that we grant, I move that we grant the waiver if requested in item 81 of the application, such that the applicant does not have to present the board with the unapproved main DEP permit, and that we will have a condition of approval for this board that our approval is conditioned upon main DEP's approval.
I'll second that.
And as you've noted, we've had this discussion before, and most particular in application 23-276, which was the Barker Mountain lift replacement. And this board member in particular was made an adamant statement that I was in disagreement with the waiver, and I maintain my same arguments that I presented then now, and I prefer that the board maintain its right of final review, pending that all permits required by the applicant be obtained first before we grant final approval.
This has been in the UDRO since the beginning. And it was never enforced, or was not enforced very well. And I agree that we should have the DEP permit approval in our hot little fist before we approve our application. We deemed the application complete, and that started the clock ticking. And it gives us, including having a public hearing, it gives us 60 days, right?
With the public hearing, the clock went out the window and a new clock came on the desk, which allowed, we have now 30 days to review the application and give it final approval or disapproval.
30 days from today.
From today.
Would you like to go through the rest of the approval process and table this one?
I'm conducive to that. I will, if that's the desire, I will withdraw my motion.
I feel comfortable doing that too.
Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw my motion, and I'll make a motion that we table the review and...
Excuse me, Ted, can you withdraw once it's seconded then?
That was seconded.
It was already seconded, I don't think you can withdraw.
Who seconded?
Oh, okay, you're right.
Oh, you did? No.
Point, good
I'm
point of
sorry.
order, good point of
I'm
order.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Who seconded?
Okay, keep us out of court. Thank you. No, thank you.
I will note though, even though we might vote in favor or not in favor of this, we can always bring it back onto a vote at a later date to grant the waiver or not grant the waiver.
Why don't we vote it down?
That's what I would do right at the moment. And
Okay.
then we can always grant it later if we need, if we choose to.
It has been moved and seconded that we require the DEP permit approval in our hot little fist before we,
Correct, no, that was not the motion.
that was not the motion.
No, the motion was that we grant the waiver requested by the applicant, that as a condition of approval, that the board does not require the DEP permit prior to giving its approval, and that it would be a condition of approval. Now, it's not one of my better motions, I understand that. The applicant is requesting a waiver that all permits required by state and federal entities be issued prior to us giving approval. He's requesting a waiver of that and stating that instead, the board make it a condition of approval that the main DEP approval be granted prior to commencing construction.
Okay.
That was the motion.
Okay,
So a motion in favor, a vote in favor of this motion would grant the waiver. A motion in opposition will deny the waiver at this time.
Or a vote in opposition.
You vote in opposition.
all those in favor? All those opposed?
1,
2,
3, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the review of waivers, any further waivers until the next meeting.
Okay. I'll second that. So, all those in favor?
1,
2,
3, okay. So we will go through the conditions of approval. Is that where we are? No, we gotta go through
yeah.
proceed to review of criteria.
Are there any conditions of being placed on this, of approval being placed on this application?
Okay,
That would just, I don't know what that scribble is there, so still pay no attention.
okay. So now we're gonna do
Is
this.
this you, Ken?
Mr. Chairman, I have 9 motions to make for conditions of approval through application 23-275.
As soon as Bruce gets his in his hot little fist. Oh, right there.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was looking both, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Applicant will ensure proper concrete washout procedures are followed as per Maine erosion and sediment control best management practices. Manual for designers and engineers, section A6, and Maine DEP chapter 500 housekeeping standards.
I'll second that.
This is a standard condition of approval that we have been requiring in the last several applications.
Yep. Yep, I'll second that. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Applicant will provide the inspecting official proof that excavation contractors are certified in erosion and sediment control by Maine DEP as per the Unified Development Review Ordinance for the town of Newry, also known as the UDRO, section 13.G.1.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the applicant will provide inspecting official proof that the excavation contractors are certified in erosion and sediment control. All those in favor?
1,
2,
3.
Mr. Chairman, can I get a chance to comment on these two?
hold off on the vote.
You have another copy of this for him?
He has it.
Yes. Okay.
Just a chance to comment before you guys notice what I was asking for.
Number 3?
Do you have a comment for that?
I was trying to look up the ordinance. Is that a requirement by the town ordinance?
Yes, if it's section 13G1.
Okay.
Is it? Is that all?
That was my question, yes.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Applicant will comply with the UDRO section 13.Z and provide the town of Newry with written results of pre-development and post-development ambient sound taken from protected locations specified by the town's code enforcement officer. Before we discuss the second, before we proceed, please.
I'll second.
Yep. Been moved and seconded that
Mr. Chairman, section 13.z is performance standards, and subsection Z is noise standards. It specifically requires the applicant to do a pre-development and post-development sound survey. It's very detailed and and it's specified quite in good detail in the subsection. And this just reinforces that needs to be done.
Finding it, Pete?
I'm looking for it, yeah.
Rather expensive.
Yeah, I'm flipping through it.
It's subsection 4, Peter.
Noise.
Well, Z is noise.
Right.
And if you go down, it's a rather,
Sound and construction and maintenance of facility.
well, actually, it's subsection, it's C, measurement of ambient sound, pre-development ambient sound, and then it talks about post-facility ambient sound.
Do you wanna put those subsections into this?
No, the whole, because it's the entire subsection on sound applies, it's just that where the requirement is specifically stated in there.
Maybe decibel readings and all that.
In subsection, what is that?
105 is,
Yeah, well, page 73, down there it says measurement of ambient sound, pre-development ambient sound. Measurements shall be made at the representative protected location for periods of time sufficient to adequately characterize the ambient sound. I don't foresee any difficulty with this, but it needs to be done. The ordinance requires it to be done.
I believe the ordinance, like my understanding is that it only is required to be done if it's believed to be a nuisance. And we own all of the abutting property, several hundred feet, so I guess I'm not really sure why,
that includes the other side of the road?
yeah, I'm not really sure why this would be necessary. The board had asked for some, I guess, quantitative noise data, so we provided some of that from a similar chairlift.
Yeah, it seems though it was under 60.
Yeah, definitely under any of the limits set by the ordinance, and so I guess with us owning the surrounding property for several hundred feet, I'm not sure why this would need to be done unless there was a really fine butter that they're gonna be negatively impacted.
However, on the opposite side, if you were to go to your nearest protected area, which would be the closest abutter, and do your pre-development and post-development sound measurements, and then put it in your back pocket, you'd be covered for any potential future complaints about noise.
Yeah, it's just a time and effort and money thing that seems, from my perspective, to be a waste.
That there is a difference in interpretation as to whether or not it's required by the UDRO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my interpretation is that it's not required for approval, it's just required, there's a procedure that's outlined if if a dispute ever arose over noise that became a nuisance to a butter.
So you're stating that this performance standard is not review standard for your application.
Well, that's my understanding of it, we're discussing it.
Well, the data that he provided for the last application showed that the noise level was in the fifties, which is pretty quiet.
Must probably be a helicopter.
And if they own 700 feet all the way around this development, the noise of that chairlift is pretty well muffled. I'd be more concerned with snowmaking noise, which is a lot less than it used to be.
Which is exempt from
It's
the,
exempt.
which is exempt from this ordinance.
It is?
It is, yes, it is.
Wow.
Under subsection 3, the following use and activity shall be exempt from the sound pressure level regulations, and one of those, unfortunately, is traffic noises on the roads. Another one is noise associated with snowmaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or noise associated with competitive demonstration or exhibition snow events.
So, where are we, gentlemen?
We have a motion, it's been seconded. A vote affirmative would be require the condition of approval be made. A vote in opposition would not require it to be a condition of approval. So the question then is whether or not the UDRO requires a measurement in all applications, or just, as the applicant is stating, whether it's an enforcement action after a complaint's received, and therefore it's not a matter for the board of, the planning board, but a matter for the code enforcement officer.
And could this in fact be considered a waiver too, if he asked for a waiver on this?
All waivers have been tabled to the.
All waivers have been tabled, so you could come back and ask for that. But I don't think that applies. It's either whether the board feels that this is a enforcement portion of the ordinance, or is this a review, planning board review portion of the ordinance.
Which section's it in again?
It's in section 13,
13Z.
performance standards,
Page.
subsection Z, it's on page 69.
So,
69.
And in particular, if you go to page 71, actually, no, what is it? Page 73, down at the bottom, it says pre-development ambient sound. So, Peter, once you have a complaint after the lift is put in, you no longer have pre-ambient sound noise measurements that you can take.
sure he does. Turn the lift off.
Would that count as
Measure.
pre-development?
We can even enforce that.
Possibly.
This is true. This is true. Pre-development, you've got all the trees. Post-development, you don't have all the trees. So there's no way that you can go back and measure what it was like.
It seems to be almost.
What's the
an
code
existing
enforcement? Whoops, where's the code enforcement officer? Yes, sir.
I just have a question, how about snow grooming machines?
I don't know. Is that in the ordinance?
I don't think they're that particularly loud, at least when I used to operate, they weren't that bad.
No. Well, no, they're not particularly loud. They're a lot better than they used to be.
Well, this is muffler noise, right? I mean, that's, I don't think that, I think that's a neat point for that.
Ted,
Yes, sir.
is there anything about grooming equipment in there?
No.
The following uses and activities shall be exempt from the sound pressure level regulations. The noise of safety signals, warning devices, and emergency reassure relief valves and any other emergency activity. B, traffic noises on the road. C, noise associated with snowmaking. D, noise associated with competitive, demonstration, or exhibition snow events. Those are the 4 exemptions from the noise ordinance.
Okay,
So grooming is subject to.
Say grooming is associated?
Grooming would be applied, the subsection Z noise applies to grooming activity. And is not exempt. As,
And we're looking at section 3 here?
yeah, grooming is not included in there.
Right.
So, grooming is not exempt. Grooming is subject to,
Well, these are exempt, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm reading it backwards, yeah, right.
okay, gentlemen, we've hammered this around.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do with it? I believe there's a motion on the floor.
there is a motion on the floor.
Seconded, you have to vote.
Moved and seconded, isn't it?
I think I seconded it, did
Yeah,
You did.
I? Yeah, okay.
Just need a vote. Actually, Bruce did.
Okay, number 3.
Nope, you need a vote.
you need to
Yes,
vote.
I know.
Oh,
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. The motion on the floor is the applicant will comply with the UDRO section 13Z. All those in favor?
1.
All those against?
1,
2. Oh, actually, it's 2 and 3.
oh, 2.
The article
Failed.
failed. That's the correct word. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Weekly inspection reports as well as before and after storm event reports, as required for the erosion control notes, drawing number 5, will be forwarded by the applicant to the town's inspection official.
I'll second that motion.
I'll say yes. It's been moved and forwarded that weekly inspection
Will you
reports.
give the applicant an opportunity to comment, please?
Sure. Peter, thoughts?
Yeah, we discussed this with the last application too, and I see the intent here, but I don't see it in the ordinance.
Don't see the what?
I see the intent of the condition of approval, but I don't see anything in the ordinance that supports it.
Oh,
I've not ever held back inspection reports from Joelle when she's asked for them, but
So this one wouldn't be our hardship then?
I'm opposed to having it as a condition of approval.
I think we went around and done this one in the last one and determined that we'd like to have it, but there's nothing in the ordinance to stand on.
Well, other than that the planning board may, under section 3, subsection F, subparagraph 15, the planning board may, as a term of condition of approval, establish any reasonable requirement to ensure that the applicant has made adequate provisions for the control of, that's for noise, excuse me. Any other term of condition or approval necessary to fulfill the purpose of this ordinance.
Ooh.
So, my point is that under the UDRO section 3, subsection F, conditions of approval, we have that this condition of approval is
There's something to stand on.
something to stand on.
And I have to say, like I say, with weather conditions and things that are happening, I think it would give us an idea of what's going on for, you gotta keep pretty good weather records up there. And it would give us an idea of what's happening before and after the storm, what happens after the storm. I mean, instead of us having to say like, well, gee, what happened up there? you know.
Also, Mr. Chairman, the board has already approved a inspecting official other than the town code enforcement officer to inspect and represent the town. And this would be information that they should have to review, and that the code enforcement officer would be looking for the inspecting official to review and comment on.
This is true. This has been seconded?
Yeah.
Okay. The motion is weekly inspection reports as well as before and after storm event reports as required per the erosion control notes drawing 5 will be forwarded by the applicant to the town inspection official. All those in favor?
1, 2.
3. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, motion to include the following as a condition of approval. All construction entrances off of Monkey Brook Road are to be reclaimed to pre-development conditions upon project completion.
I'll second that.
The reason for this condition of approval is that in previous board meetings where we reviewed this application, there was a great concern of abuse of access to the ski trails from Monkey Brook. And by reclaiming any entrance that is put in for construction purposes will just help dissuade people from crossing from Monkey Brook Road to the ski trail for access.
All right, so I have a question about that one. And as we talked about on that upper section about crossing the golf course, where that was gonna be an access road up to the old logging road to the landing. And Peter says, what about, we talked about reclamation. And so he said, if you could just put boulders in front of it, with that, and then would that be a definition of reclamation? Because if he's got the boulders up there and not allowing access into that section, with natural growth would reoccur over a period of time, instead of having to plant trees and all that other stuff.
With the exception that in order to do a construction entrance, there's a significant amount of gravel, aggregate that has to be brought in order to provide proper footage for vehicles. And therefore, that would still be there, and that should be, this would.
Despite the fact that it would be blocked off.
There would still be a visible entrance.
And, okay, so that means, I guess what I'm.
Reclaim, my intent for reclaiming is to return it to its pre-development condition.
Yeah.
The board want to change that around, that's fine, but the original intent was to return that or any construction entrance to its original condition after the completion of construction. Which would require removal of any aggregate brought in for the, to make a proper construction entrance, etc.
Peter?
Well, the compromise that I'd request from the board would be that we would place a vehicle barrier, keep the construction entrance as it was built in case we needed to get a crane to the lift or something like that in the future, but place a vehicle barrier of some sort, either boulders or a gate across to prevent anyone from driving their vehicle up in there.
At the previous meetings, though, you did not indicate that. You indicated that the construction entrances would be abandoned and not used after construction. So you're changing that position?
Yes, I'm changing that position. That's my request.
So, could the board request that you put a section of guardrail up there?
Yeah, but the purpose of the request is so that we could get a crane up to the lift more.
Well, I was thinking that the crane could pull the guardrail right out.
But I think, you know, I got, maybe play devil's advocate on, but I think if you place like what they do, they put gigantic rocks, where, you know, an excavator can come in if they need to, come in and move them, but it's not like I'm gonna come up there with my truck and push them aside. You know, just so I can get up there and ski, you know, and park my truck there and ski.
And that's really what I'm looking for, yeah.
The other concern that I have is, which perhaps the compromise would achieve, is that there be no after construction access easily obtained to the project site.
I think a big boulder, no more than 1.5 feet apart, all the way across, would probably suffice.
And the reality is, we know that Mother Nature will eventually, I don't care what's down there, it's gonna take care of itself and cover it up. If it's gravel, it's still gonna go through it. You know, if it doesn't get reclaimed, or it doesn't get reused for some emergent situation that they need to get a piece of equipment back in there by temporarily moving the blockades.
These modern lifts are so big that doing any major work on them requires a crane.
Or a helicopter.
Cranes are cheaper. Cranes are cheaper.
It was also stated at the site walk, that the lift passes aren't gonna get them access at this lift. Am I stating that correctly, Brian?
Yeah, we have the opportunity to do that. I don't know if there's been a final decision made on that yet, but it's.
Just like with the electric fence around there, so they can't get through them.
RFID gates.
There you go, that's what I was looking for the words.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there's a motion that has been seconded, and I think we've been adequately discussed.
Okay, let's vote on this. The motion on the table is all construction entrances off Monkey Brook Road are to be reclaimed to pre-development condition upon completion of the front, upon project completion. All those in favor? All those against?
1,
2, 3. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. All construction entrances off of Monkey Brook Road are to be blocked, adequately blocked from daily access by placement of large immovable objects
Second.
in the entrance.
The motion on the table is all construction entrances off Monkey Brook Road are to be blocked by large immovable objects. Okay, all those in favor?
1,
2,
3. How's that, Peter?
Yeah, works for me, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a motion for the following condition of approval. Applicant will not build any entrances off of Monkey Brook Road without first obtaining approval from the Newry Planning Board.
second.
The motion on the table is the applicant will not build any entrances off the Monkey Brook Road without first obtaining approval from the Newry Planning Board.
And the reason for this is to stymie any creative lift maintenance or other personnel who tire of having to go the long way around to get to the lift, to the bottom lift, and cut their own access to the lift terminal.
What's the process of getting a driveway permit on that road?
That's what I was just going, I think we need to clarify this a bit more.
Is it, and I haven't looked at the section in the last year, but I didn't think that there was a driveway permit required by the town for us to put a driveway on the wrong road.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
So one of my big cautions with this is that it is not tied directly to the permit, to this permit. It's that we are forever not going to be able to put a driveway on our road in any segment of the road without approval from the board. So I'm not exactly sure what, I guess I understand what the intent is, but I think it reaches far beyond the intent, and so I'm opposed to it.
The applicant was specifically asked earlier in the review process whether or not ambulance and emergency vehicle access to the base terminal would be required, and the applicant's response to that was no, that they provided a ski patrol memo as to how they would plan to extradite any emergency situations from that terminal.
And that was discussed tonight too. when we were down
And also in previous discussions on this, there was talk about pedestrian access along Monkey Brook Road, which the applicant is very much opposed to. That the case that was made was that skiers and boarders, being who they are, will do what they need to do to get to the slopes as a compromise to not requiring pedestrian access along Monkey Brook Road from the base terminal up to the golf course. I am pushing that we discourage any form of entrance that will facilitate guest access to and from the ski area to Monkey Brook Road.
So my question, I guess, is that if perchance that you decide that maybe it would be a good idea to have a driveway or somewhat of a road there for emergency vehicles to access that point at some point, instead of hogging them back up out of the long way, is there some type of, can you have some type of a secure gate that doesn't allow that? And obviously, people that would park there would be towed or something would happen. So you would have access to emergency vehicles or maintenance vehicles per chance that they would need to be accessing that point.
Well, that's kind of, so motion number 5, that was part of why I asked for a kind of compromise on that, so that we can maintain the ability to access the bottom of the lift in an emergency or, maintenance situation. But the issue with this motion number 6 is that we own a lot of other property on that road, and so now if I want to put a driveway entrance onto one of the house lots that's completely not associated with this project at all, then I have to come to the planning board to get a permit for that.
So unless you're going to subdivide the remaining lot, you don't need into 2 lots, such that you don't need subdivision approval, which you'd be coming before the board anyway.
Not if I'm putting a driveway onto a previously approved.
But there are no previously approved lots that.
Well, I think this is a miscommunication, if I may.
I think the intent of the motion and the literal.
It's just this lot, right?
Right, just that lot.
Can we just add that into the motion, so it's only for lot 2A3?
Yes.
I was gonna say pertaining to that one, but to any access point to the lift, that area there.
Well, the other, to what Peter is saying, if he has the ability to put in a driveway, a year from now, lift maintenance might come to Peter and say, Peter, hey, we really need to be able to drive up on a daily basis to the base of lift number 20, and therefore we would like a driveway here, and Peter says, okay, we'll put one in for you. Now we have a driveway crossing already approved stormwater drainage systems that might impact that, because now we're putting into a culvert that the driveway would have to be, and that would have to be properly sized. And given the interest of stormwater runoff in that area, it would probably be best to have planning board approval of that anyway.
I personally think that this is a way extension of anything that the ordinance allows. And in addition to that, I think the way it's written in a literal sense is very much not acceptable by us.
Like if Sunday River was to purchase another lot somewhere on the Monkey Brook Road.
Well, the application already specifies the lot that it applies to. Or so this would not be a carte blanche of no more driveways anywhere along Monkey Brook Road. It would only apply to the lots that the applicant has already specified in the application.
Yeah.
Well, can it be a site-specific or
It is site-specific because it's for application 23-275.
but can we delineate the area, the road frontage, or say, you know?
It's right there,
Mhm.
those lots.
So we can't just say like where the road, where the entrance is into the ski lift. I mean, you can't just specify something like that and leave everything out, or take that piece out or something, I don't know.
Well, that's not
It's
the
like
way,
taking, you know, acres out of tree growth.
well, it's not the way this is
Yeah. All right.
worded here on this document.
So I feel like the wording is not representative of the intent of the condition of approval, and I also am opposed not only to the literal wording, but also to the intent of trying to require us to approach the board for any sort of entrance of any kind onto the Monkey Brook Road from these lots that we're developing with this project. I don't see anything in the ordinance other than the vaguely worded clause about the board being able to add extra conditions of approval that gives the board the right to do this.
I'm concerned because it look, at number 29 in the application, it says map R17 lot 2A1. That's not the lot.
All right, we can revise that for the final application.
Thank you.
So then theoretically, if we approve this number 6, the mountain can come back, Sunday River can come back to us and say like, hey, can we get a curb cut for this section to go up to the lift base for emergent access?
They would have to come back to the board for approval. Now, if it's just a driveway, they would have to come back for an approval as an amendment to this application. If it's a future subdivision, which has yet been defined, created, and even, well, it's probably been conceived, but, that would be a whole separate subdivision application anyway.
Right.
And driveway entrances would be part of that application. So this restriction would only apply to the lot as it stands now, because any further development, unless it's going to be something, a development that does not require Sunday River, town of, planning board approval, it's going to come before the board anyway.
But so in simple terms, they can come back and apply for a driveway permit.
Yes. As a,
Yeah,
as an addendum to the, as an amendment to the application. And that would give us the opportunity to make sure that any stormwater runoff that might be changed by this driveway would be properly reviewed and dealt with.
The motion on the floor is, the applicant will not build any entrances off the Monkey Brook Road without first obtaining approval from the Newry Planning Board. All those in favor?
1, 2,
All those opposed? 3.
Motion passed.
Mr. Chairman, motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Erosion control details will be included on the final construction plan, and erosion control narrative will be included in the project specifications to be provided to the construction contractor.
I'll second that.
This is was also a condition of approval in the previous application of 23-276. It reinforces what is already in the, or should be in the DEP permit when it's approved. Should the board grant the waiver for DEP approval, and we would not have a chance to verify that that was in the DEP approval, so that this would cover that situation as well. So it reinforces what should be in the DEP approval, but if it isn't, we got it.
What you think, Peter?
We accepted this without any contest on the last one.
The motion on the table is erosion control details will be included on the final construction plans, and the erosion control narrative will be included in the project specifications to be provided to the construction contractor. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. 8.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Applicant shall retain the design engineer or other qualified professional engineer to oversee the construction of the stormwater best management practices.
I'll second that.
This was, again, a requirement in the previous application, and it ensures that the applicant will maintain a qualified engineer on staff, especially since in this case, that engineer is also the inspecting, the applicant's inspector for the project.
Run that last line by me again.
If you look at,
No, just the last line. The last, what did you say, what did you last say?
that the engineer before us
Yes.
is also the applicant's inspector for erosion control on the job as per the erosion control notes on drawing number 5.
Yes. I believe you're right.
Down there under erosion controls, subsection B, subsection 13. Sunday River's project engineer, Peter Roberts, will be the responsible for inspecting the project site, ensuring that all specified erosion control BMPs are installed correctly and maintained until the site has been permanently stabilized. So this condition of approval just ensures that Mr. Roberts, or somebody of equal qualifications, will be around to make sure that the BMPs are carried out.
Thoughts, Peter?
This is copy and paste out of the DEP conditions of approval, so it's already gonna be applied to the project.
Okay. The motion on the table is the applicant shall retain the design engineer or other qualified professional engineer to oversee the construction of the stormwater best management practices, BMP. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. Number 9.
And finally, Mr. Chairman, a motion to include the following as a condition of approval. Within 30 days from completion of the entire system, the applicant shall submit an as-built plan of the project and a log of inspection reports detailing the items inspected, photographs taken, and dates of each inspection to the town.
I'll second that.
This is, again, should be a requirement of the DEP permit, only DEP doesn't require it to be submitted to the town. So all the applicant would have to do is make a carbon copy and send it to the town.
Yes?
As with many of these, I understand the intent, but I don't see anything in the town ordinance that allows the board, other than the vaguely worded clause at the end that says you can add whatever you want. I don't see anything in there saying, like, that you have jurisdiction to do this.
Thoughts on that, Ted?
Uh,
Do we have anything to stand on?
Section 3, subsection F.
F-15,
Actually, 14.
okay.
Any other term or condition of approval necessary to fulfill the purposes of this ordinance?
Also, Act 8, professional inspection and maintenance.
Okay, the planning board may, in approving applications, attach such conditions of approval in addition to those required elsewhere in this ordinance, that it finds necessary to further the purposes of this ordinance. Such conditions of approval may include, but are not limited to, specifications for. And we get down to 14.
We went to 8 first.
8, professional inspection and maintenance. Is that it?
And 14.
And what?
14.
And 14, any other item or condition of approval necessary to fulfill the purposes of this ordinance. Boy, that's a broad pen.
That's the one I get hung up on, is that a lot of these conditions of approval only stand on this one sentence in the ordinance. And so I feel like this requirement for an as-built survey is basically also in that same territory where there's nothing else in the ordinance that says anything about me submitting you an as-built survey. There's just this one line that says any other term or condition of approval necessary to fulfill the purpose of the ordinance. But I don't see the purpose of the ordinance applying to this, because there's nothing that I see in there.
Well, section 2 of the UDRO deals with the purpose. And in there, the planning board is responsible for protecting the general welfare, protect the environment, promote community development, balance property rights, reduce fiscal impact, implement the comprehensive plan, and establish procedures and standards. I would say that if you even want a broader pen, then protecting the general welfare and protecting the environment.
Those are, yeah, okay, those are the purposes of the written ordinance, but there's no, I don't know, that seems like a very, very broad interpretation to me.
Does the state require similar language, or does the state have similar
The
language?
DEP permit should, but the applicant is asking us to give final approval to their application prior to the board being able to see the DEP permit. So this ensures that we are covered by this requirement. Now, if the applicant is willing to let us hold off on our final approval until they have main DEP permit in hand, and we have a chance, and our consultant has a chance to review it, then this might be a moot point. But I'm trying to protect the town's interest here, and should we, as the board, approve the waiver requested by the applicant, this will protect the town.
What do you think is gonna protect the town from with a copy of the as-built survey?
That was my next question.
It will give the town the ability to ensure that the applicant complied with all the requirements of the application. And the town will be holding in escrow money for an independent inspector. And this would give us, the town, the finals, that it's done, it's over, and we can release any unused escrow funds and dismissed the independent inspector at that time. Or inspecting official, I should say.
So it's either one or the other, wait for the DEP approval from them, you know, till they have a copy of that.
Tough part, you know?
Well, yeah.
Peter, does the state require such a document?
Yes.
It does?
Yep.
It requires an as-built.
Yep.
And so by just giving a copy of that to us, we can complete our file. It goes in with the application and finishes the, and allows us to close the file folder.
We discussed it enough?
Yeah, I have.
Bruce?
Yeah, like I say, it's like one or the other, like I say, it's, you know, we wait for the DEP permit or we go with this. Which is the lesser of two evils, I don't know. Well, not the lesser of two evils, but, you know, they're both gonna protect the town, you know, the final outcome of the application.
Motion on the floor. Within 30 days of completion of the entire system, the applicant shall submit an as-built plan of the project and a log of inspection reports detailing items inspected, photographs taken, and dates of each inspection to the town. All those in favor?
1,
2,
1, 2. And all those opposed? 1. What's next?
we go back to the waivers now?
No, I think
I think conditions of approval are next.
So are there any conditions you approve? Yeah, so each condition must be cited, okay, so that's been done. Now we're going to criteria for approval.
So gentlemen, do you want to go through the criteria for approval tonight?
Becky, what time did we start the meeting?
You started at 6:30, well, the planning board meeting started at, 7:17, so.
7:17, so we have until 9:47
9:47?
before we have to go into extension.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
I hate your math. Isn't that 8:47? We've been at this since 5 o'clock.
You have until 9 o'clock in just the regular, if you would have started the meeting at 6:30.
Yes, but we still have,
So we go another 20 minutes and then vote.
So we're gonna get through each of these in 30 or 36 seconds or something?
yeah, that's
Is that
exactly
going
what
on?
it is.
We're gonna do that.
I mean, because you already did the finding facts, that's done, even though that's after.
Yeah, no, I was looking at reports and open discussion. Peter, you wanna do that next meeting?
What? Report?
Criteria for approval?
Oh, do I want, I'd love to get it done right now, but
You'd like to get it done
it's
right
up to you
now?
guys. You guys are running the meeting.
He says we can go for another hour. Okay, let's get started.
Get your chocolate. You found the
Yeah, I'll go
chocolate.
steal it from the
Let me get my book out.
All right, so what are you doing now? I gotta go pee.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did we decide, how late did we go?
You go 9 o'clock and vote again?
Yeah.
Or you don't have to technically vote until
9:47.
9:47.
Go to the bathroom. We ought to have something in the book about if you start with a public hearing and a site visit, and I'll be able to get it earlier. Oh. Oh, let's see. Criteria for approval, 19. Now that you suggested it.
Chairs aren't very comfortable, are they?
No. Seventh inning stretch. They're better than at the Grange Hall, those wooden ones.
Oh, yeah, those are.
Those are deadly.
I was squirming Monday night. Did you go to the Grange Hall? That's where we had town meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we did a joint meeting there one time for Block Estates, because it was better than me. Holy cow, that wasn't the same for a week. What's that? I know.
Yeah, what's that? The gem for the cooler business.
I can't guarantee I'll stay when he goes. We use the gems up here, business.
I heard, yeah. Whoever came up with that idea.
Well, it was either that or under 10.
Well, no, she got some stuff.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Crescent Park.
Yeah. Under the 10th, the last meeting under the 10th.
That was a bad decision.
Yeah. I have school hang up my grades last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Did trash cleanup on top after everything
You,
else.
you got the old
Yeah,
Nintendo game going on?
Oh, that's a Star Wars game.
it's the same.
But it's a nice turn off, you know, pull off all the cigarettes. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Push your volume button, and then tap the phone,
Mosquito or black flies? Black flies.
and then you can tap it till it gets to
One of
vibrate.
my houses is like 1,400 feet.
Oh my God.
Well, I have vibrate, I mean,
Right now,
I
it's,
feel like guys are all over me from our.
It's silent.
right, but go ahead and put the volume up.
Oh, yeah. I was like, stick one.
Go ahead and give it some more, and then tap on the 3 dots. And you should have a vibrate somewhere in there, or to put it on not disturb.
technology beyond my comprehension.
Maybe you shouldn't have a cell phone.
I shouldn't have a cell phone.
You should go back to your old tag phone.
Oh, don't I wish?
I don't have
A bag phone?
a cell phone.
You don't?
Are we back in session?
So what's the number that I texted? Your girlfriend, no, sure she came from home, you got a text from your girlfriend.
She hates that.
What's he talking about?
Okay, ready?
Are we ready to start, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay. Section 5, criteria for approval. In approving applications submitted pursuant to this ordinance, the planning board shall consider the following criteria and find that the proposed development, A, pollution. Proposed development will not result in undue water or air pollution. In making this determination, it shall consider the elevation of the land above sea level as relation to floodplains. It's way above sea level and it's not in a floodplain. The nature of soils and subsoils and their ability to adequately support waste disposal. Well, there is no waste disposal on this project. Is there, Peter?
I think that specifically relates to subsurface wastewater, so no.
Right, that's what I thought, but you don't have a bathroom or anything?
Nope.
Nope, okay. The slope of the land and its effect on effluents. I believe they're talking about sewage disposal again. That one we don't have to worry about. The ability of streams for disposal of effluents, we don't have to worry about that one. Applicable state and local health and water resource rules and regulations. Thoughts, gentlemen, on that last line? No thoughts? He's shaking his head. Means what?
Well, I'm reading left to right and right to left.
Okay.
I don't mind the left-handed people.
Didn't see your lips moving. You all set?
All set.
Okay. On A, pollution.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the proposed development will not result in undue water or air pollution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that proposed development will not result in undue water or air pollution. All those in favor?
1,
2.
3, erosion. Oh my. The proposed development will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or a reduction in the land's capacity to hold water so that a dangerous or unhealthy condition results.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table section 5, subsection B, erosion, until we have more time to expand on the erosion that could be caused by snowmaking runoff, which has not been detailed by the applicant. And also that there is a significant interest in the public towards erosion control, as judging from the public hearing, and that we need to make sure that the plan is correct and all encompassing.
I'll agree, I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we table B, erosion, until we look at it in more depth. Is that the,
Correct.
all those in favor?
1, 2.
3.
Can I, just curious, so it's being tabled, what information is still needed from me on this?
As the applicant, you should be able to reaffirm to the board that the project will not cause any adverse erosion. And I believe that you yourself had said that snowmaking runoff has not been considered previously, and therefore.
So I'm trying to get really specific here. You want a statement about erosion as it relates to snowmaking runoff?
No, I'm saying that there was significant concern voiced by the public at the public hearing concerning erosion, and therefore I would like to give the opportunity to you, the applicant, to address those concerns, as well as for the board to review those concerns.
Okay, so you're, excuse me, so you're looking for responses to the comments from the public hearing?
I am looking for reassurance from the applicant that the erosion controls are going to be adequate and will satisfy all the concerns that were brought up by the public.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay, so it's, I'm trying to get my story straight, it's tabled, and the board, before they open it back up for discussion, wants more information from me to explain how we're going to address the issues that were brought up by the public in the public hearing.
Erosion, storm runoff, all that stuff.
In addition, there was one public comment made by the representative of the Mahoosic Glen HOA that they were retaining the public, their own private consultant, and that they would like to have time to be able to review the stormwater runoff and the erosion control as proposed by the application. So this would also, by tabling this, would also give the Mahoosic Glen HOA an opportunity to get their consultant and have it reviewed. It would also give the board time to review with our consultant and expand upon the concern voiced at the public hearing concerning erosion control.
Okay, and are those in addition to the comments that your consultant already made? Part of the reason that I had wanted to discuss this before it got tabled was just to address the comments that were made by your consultant. So is it going back to the consultant for a second review before I have a chance to respond to his comments, or are we gonna?
If you get your responses in quickly, we probably can get them to the consultant to review before we meet again in 2 weeks.
Okay, so we're not gonna discuss them here, I'm just gonna respond directly to the consultant.
To the board,
It's actually 3 weeks, Deb.
3 weeks. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, so erosion's tabled, the three things that I need to address before the next meeting. Reassurance to the board that we've addressed the issues raised by the public in the public hearing. The board is hoping to give Mahoosic Glen HOA more time to review the application with their consultant. And then we'd like to go through another iteration of responses with Goral Palmer before we bring it back to the table.
Correct.
Got it, okay.
So that Goral Palmer comes back and says, you check, moves the check from one column to the other column.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next one, gentlemen.
Yes.
C, traffic. The proposed development will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of highways or public roads existing or proposed. If the proposed development requires driveways or entrances onto a state or state aid road, Route 2, Route 26, Sunday River Road to the Skiway Road, the Maine Department of Transportation has provided documentation indicating that driveways or entrances conform to Title 23, Section 704, and any rules adopted under that section. If the proposed development requires driveways or entrances onto a town road, the town has approved the driveway or entrance and confirmed that it conforms to town requirements for driveways.
I don't think this applies.
I think it meets the standards for what we're looking for.
Well, I think you're right. But,
Could I make a quick statement?
go ahead.
The purpose of the project is to add value to lots that were already approved by the planning board in the Merrill Hill subdivision. So the build out of Merrill Hill will increase traffic. However, that was already deliberated on and approved by the planning board when the subdivision was approved. And so we're trying to take, you know, the value of the lots from here to here, but not necessarily adding more lots or more traffic in this application.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that, section 5, subsection C, traffic meets the criteria of approval.
I'll second that. For the reasons that Peter mentioned. The subdivision was approved a long time ago. And this is not adding another subdivision, it's just building out the subdivision that was approved.
And we do have a traffic study coming up in the future, so, you know.
Yeah, we do have that traffic study coming up in the future. The motion on the table is traffic. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. Okay. D. Proposed development will provide for adequate sewage disposal and will not cause an unreasonable burden on municipal services if they are utilized.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that section 5, subsection D, sewage disposal is not applicable to this application.
I'll second that. The moved and seconded that section D, sewage disposal is not applicable. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. Municipal solid waste disposal. The proposed development will not cause unreasonable burden on the town's ability to dispose of solid waste if the town's services are utilized. Town disposal for construction and demolition debris is not allowed except under section 13-R, page 65.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that section 5, subsection E, municipal solid waste disposal is not applicable.
I will second that.
Peter, you're familiar with section 13, subsection R, refuse disposal, when it comes to construction in the UDRO?
Yeah, we can take a look at it if you want.
$65 here.
Got it.
We make that another condition of approval.
So specifically, what are you looking at here?
Do you, in your drawings, have instructions to your contractor as to refuge disposal?
No, the contractor usually hires their own private disposal company to send them a roll-off container.
Right, but your drawings, which they have to abide by, doesn't address the issue, correct?
No.
Would it be too much to ask that you add that to your drawings as for the contractor to abide by the town ordinance for refuge disposal at construction debris?
Yeah, do you want it to say abide by the ordinance or specifically say that they can't utilize the town's waste disposal system?
I would prefer a much more encompassing one that they abide by section 13, subsection R of the UDRO when it comes to refuge disposal, as well as any other applicable ordinance, which I believe we have one, or is that not applied?
That's only the
That's for building
permit.
permits, okay.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, that would be just slide that into your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Motion on the floor, gentlemen. Municipal solid waste disposal. All those in favor?
1,
2,
3. F. The aesthetic, cultural, and natural values. The proposed development will not have an undue adverse effect on the scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic sites, significant wildlife habitat identified by the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife or the town, or rare and irreplaceable natural areas, or any public rights for physical or visual access to the shoreline. Well, there's certainly not any shoreline up there.
Could I make a statement really quick?
Yeah.
Part of the DEP approval process is notification of the Maine Natural Areas Program, the Fisheries and Wildlife, and the Historic Preservation Commission. And they replied that they don't have any objections to the project.
Don't have any spotted tree toads up there.
I know of.
Well, I'm reasonably sure there's no historic sites up there.
Yes,
I don't think there's any significant wildlife habitat up there on that side of the hill. So we've got some short-legged, on one side, goats.
We said the height of the towers is around roughly 35 feet.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull up the profile and look, but usually those fixed grip towers aren't super tall.
So it should be, say, should blend in with the height of the trees.
I would hope so, yeah.
So it's not gonna be any more visible than any other chairlift.
No, I don't think that it's gonna be more prominent than typical chairlifts. It definitely will change the aesthetic of the hillside, but I don't think that, the look of it will be any different than our other chairlifts, and I believe the zoning of the lot is, favorable to this use, so.
Yeah,
I got no problem with it.
no, neither.
Peter, all I ask is that you abide by performance standard section 13, subsection C, preservation and enhancement of the landscape.
Okay. Is that something you're looking to add?
Nope, I just want your right hand on the UDRO and saying that you'll do that.
I will.
Section 15C, you said?
13C,
13C.
performance standards. And, yeah, primarily minimize removal of existing vegetation, etc. Has already been stated elsewhere. We have a motion on the table, correct?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Nobody's actually made a motion yet, Rich just read the,
All right. I would like to make a motion under section 5, subsection F, aesthetic, cultural, and natural values, that that criteria has been met.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. Okay. G, financial and technical capacity. The applicant has adequate financial and technical capacity to meet the standards of this ordinance. We have a letter stating that you can afford it, and you are the technical capacity, Peter?
Yes, I think the purpose is to make sure that the developer has the technical expertise to do this. I've done several similar chairlift projects.
That's what I thought. I make a motion that G, financial and technical capacity has been met.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that G, financial and technical capacity has been met. All those in favor?
1,
2, 3. H, sufficient water. The proposed development has sufficient water available for its reasonably foreseeable needs.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that section 5, subsection H, sufficient water is not applicable to this application.
I'll second.
I would like to include I in that also. Thoughts on that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that section 5, subsection H, sufficient water, and subsection I, public water supply, are not applicable to this application.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded that H and I, sufficient water and public water supply, are not applicable. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. J, surface waters. Whenever situated entirely or partially within the watershed of any pond or lake within 250 feet of a wetland, great pond or river is defined by Title 38, Chapter 3, subsection 1, Article 2-B1. The proposed development will not adversely affect the quality of that body of water or unreasonably affect the shoreline of that body of water. We have minor wetlands in this project. We are not within 250 feet of any great pond or river. Thoughts, gentlemen? Oh, well, I make a motion that J, surface waters, has been met.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
No.
No discussion?
No.
J, surface waters, all those in favor?
1, 2,
3. K, groundwater. The proposed development will not, alone or in conjunction with existing activities, adversely affect the quantity or quality of groundwater.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the application is in compliance with section 5, subsection K, groundwater, and that it will not adversely affect the quality or quantity of groundwater.
Been moved, and I seconded it, that K, groundwater, is covered. All those in favor?
1, 2,
3. Flood areas. Based on Federal Emergency Management Agency's flood boundary and floodway maps and flood insurance rates maps, and information provided by the applicant when this development is in a flood-prone area. If the development or any part of it is in such an area, the developer shall determine the 100-year flood elevation and flood hazard boundaries within the development. The proposed development must include a condition of a plan approval requiring that principal structures in the development be constructed with the lowest floor, including the basement, at least 1 foot above the 100-year flood elevation. I make a motion that L, flood areas, is not applicable to this.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that L, flood areas, is not applicable. All those in favor?
1,
2, 3. M, freshwater wetlands. All freshwater wetlands within the proposed development have been identified on any map submitted as part of the application, regardless of the size of the wetlands. Any mapping of freshwater wetlands may be done with the help of local soil and water conservation district. There are a number of wetlands identified on Peter's maps. They are generally not significant. No, not generally, they are non-significant. That is to say, they're less than an acre each. I make a motion that M, freshwater wetlands, has been met.
Second.
Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor?
1,
2, 3. So passed. Stream, river, or brook. Any river, stream, or brook within the within or abutting the proposed development has been identified on any map submitted as part of the application. For the purposes of this section, river, stream, or brook has the same meaning as in Title 38, Section 480-B, subsection 9.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that section 5, subsection N, river, streams, or brooks is not applicable to this application.
Second?
N, river, stream, or brook. All those in favor?
1,
2.
3, good. Stormwater, oh my. O, stormwater. The proposed development will provide for adequate stormwater management. Okay, for discussion purposes, I'll make a motion that stormwater has been met.
Or you could say it hasn't been met, hasn't,
Well, what?
Going to Girl Farm.
our criteria from Coral Palmer says it hasn't.
Yeah.
Well, I just put it out there so we can discuss it.
Okay.
So the motion was that it has been met.
Right, well, we can shoot it
Before
down.
we discuss, we have to second.
Oh,
I will second,
you will second it, so we can discuss it.
so we can discuss.
Okay, let's discuss it. What does our guru have to say?
Goal?
Yes.
Stormwater, provide sizing calculations for the proposed culverts. There are 3 30-inch diameter by 90-foot long culverts shown in the northernmost trail. The culvert outlets appear to discharge at the top of the proposed grading slope. Provide additional information details on how the slope channel below the culvert outlet will be protected from erosion.
Continues on the next page.
C, there is a 24-inch diameter by 60-foot long culvert near the intersection of the 2 southernmost trails that appears to convey drainage from a new ditch. The existing drainage channel that crosses the southernmost trail does not appear to be culverted and appears to be diverted into the new ditch. On the downstream end, a new channel should be excavated to safely direct drainage back to the natural drainage channel. Conformity with the local ordinances plans, the applicant has requested a waiver from the state.
We don't need to.
No, that's all right, no, all right, I'm stopping right there.
You guys don't wanna talk about that one this morning? Well, I was joking, sorry.
We'll get to it.
Chapter 9, no humor allowed.
Delirious humor.
Mr. Chairman, we spent an hour and 15 minutes at a public hearing in which a sizable amount of time was spent on concerns voiced by the public on existing stormwater management and the potential of this application aggravating the situation. And while a lot of the concerns voiced are enforcement actions or issues that are not applicable to the planning board, the planning board should recognize the public interest in stormwater runoff and how it affects properties below the area, the applicant's area. So that we need to discuss. Also, the Mahoosic Glen HOA has requested time, be given time so that they can consult a consultant as to how the stormwater runoff from this application will affect their area. And last but not least, our consultant still has some outstanding issues with stormwater runoff. Therefore, I am in opposition to the motion.
Has it been moved and seconded yet?
Yes.
It has.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Moved, and I seconded.
It's been moved and seconded that the stormwater portion of this ordinance has been met. All those in favor? All those opposed?
1,
2.
3. Okay, gentlemen,
There-
we have Sean.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we table section 5, subsection O, stormwater, to give our consultant time to address, give the applicant time to address, and to give the Mahoosic Glen HOA time to address stormwater runoff.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we table this until we have further.
To our next meeting, which is in the first Wednesday of June.
All those in favor?
1,
2.
3.
June 7th.
Okay, let's see. P, spaghetti lots prohibited. If any lots in the proposed development have shore frontage on a river, stream, or brook, as features defined in Title 38, Section 480B, none of the lots created within the development have a lot depth to shore frontage ratio greater than 5 to 1.
You want to also
Well, what?
look at municipal services, lake phosphorus concentration and impact on adjoining municipalities.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that section 5, subsection P, spaghetti lots prohibited, subsection Q, municipal services, subsection R, lake phosphorus concentrations, and subsection S, impact on adjoining municipalities,
How about T?
and T, land subject to liquidation harvesting. Well, I'll take that back on T.
No, you can do that.
No, I'll do that.
Okay, T are not applicable.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that sections P, Q, R, S, and T are not applicable to this project. All those in favor?
1,
2.
3. Okay, let's see. Conformity to local ordinances and plans. The proposed development conforms to a duly adopted subdivision regulation or ordinance, comprehensive plan, development plan, or land use plan, if any. In making this determination, the planning board may interpret these ordinances and plans.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table section 5, subsection U, conformity with local ordinances and plans, until we have approved or disapproved section 5, subsection B, erosion, and section 5, subsection O, stormwater.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we table section U, conformity with local ordinances and plans, until we have further information on
Erosion and stormwater.
erosion and stormwater. All those in favor?
1,
2.
3, good. We did it in 36 seconds each, Peter?
Thank you for humoring me. I think it's really helpful to just know what I need to bring in next time.
That's fair.
Could I run through this really quick? So the Secretary of State certificate needs to be bound in the application. The lot number is still wrong in the application. Erosion was tabled. I need to make responses to comments that were addressing the issues raised in the public hearing. And then responses to Goral Palmer. I need to add a note regarding solid waste. And then stormwater's been tabled for the same reasons as erosion.
Pretty much it.
And then also need to add the criteria for approval.
And just in general, things like your letter giving you agency and all that, that all should be bound right in the application as an enclosure, not just the Secretary of State letter. All those things that you've already submitted loosely, I think for convenience purposes and for ease of filing, if you were to just add them as an enclosure to your application and bind them in there, they will stay together in proper order.
So all the supporting documents in chronological order bound to the back of the application.
Yeah, I think that's, would be a more professional application. Mr. Chairman, no, in the 20 minutes we have left, I move that I'd like to move on to our other remaining items.
Computer.
That's a motion.
No, it's not a motion. Encouragement.
Let's just do it.
Hey, don't take my sheet.
Oh, sorry.
Goes right straight in the house. Yeah, I'm not sure what you could do about it, we can't go that way with it, well, actually, you could. Or over on Sunday. And then it's much closer, so, okay. Now you don't need this, you got it.
Could I ask a question?
Okay. We have a question.
Yes, sir.
Should the association choose to work with Goral Palmer if he's interested and able, does the board see that as an issue or a conflict of any?
Girl Palmer will determine that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I can refer you to all of my friends too.
What's that?
I can refer you to all of my friends too.
Do it. I'm ready.
Okay, Ted, you said something. What were you trying to tell us?
Or,
Moving on.
Move this on.
oh, let's
Get the show on the road.
Darla needs to get home. She's got firefighting training tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, my 52.
Oh, yeah. We just table everything else
Okay.
until next meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Likewise.
Welcome to our
Five
bi-weekly
reports.
world.
I can't hear you, Luke, what?
Reports.
Whatever I put on the agenda.
To review the expert review, to inspection and performance monies held in escrow.
Oh, they're all up to date.
Okay,
Good.
and to review the expert review,
Well,
No,
that's one of the
comma,
escrow accounts.
Inspection and performance, it's all one.
oh, those are the escrow accounts?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, so we have separate escrow accounts, one for the application review, one for
Inspections.
inspection if the board chooses to go that way, and then the third is performance bonds. or
Okay.
Performance funds.
And then open discussion,
And
section
they're all up to date.
5, section 13.
It's just one of the little doohickeys in the UDRO. One section got, worded one way, section 13 is worded differently. We are working with AvCog, they have a land use planner. She's looking at some of those things for us, so just,
Is that what this is?
no.
No, just as an example, there in front of you, you'll find some performance standards that actually apply to the application that we just finished
Oh, okay, I see
discussing.
that, yeah.
And
So this was
right
just for
now,
yourselves.
that's what this is. And right now, our criteria of approval, as per section 5, very often does not address performance standards that are applicable to an application. And somehow, the board needs to
I know that, I'm sure.
determine how we want to apply performance standards to a review of an application.
So-
And right now, performance standards run from A through AE, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So that's what, 29
Mhm.
performance standards, and then we got campgrounds in the works.
So it's just, we're
So-
still,
So to make a long story short, and cut the meeting short, we need to come up with a way to review performance standards at the same time that we do criteria of approval in reviewing an application.
So somehow, at some point, get these into the UDRO,
They're in the
they're in the
UDO.
UDRO.
which is kind of narrows down.
Well, they need to be incorporated into the board's review process of an application.
Yeah. So we're working with AvCog, along with the work we've already done on campgrounds and all of that, to make our UDRO more cohesive section to section,
Right.
because it's not
So,
always,
So
right?
it should be closer to section 5.
well, either that or it should be part of section 5, or section 5 should make reference to performance standards must be met type of thing.
Yeah, kind of like in the shoreline zoning ordinance where you get to a point where it tells you to go to another section.
Right.
So it'd be like that type of a
Right.
That's what AvCog's helping us with.
tickle
Right.
to
Yes.
jump over there. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that there are performance standards in the UDRO which have nothing to do with application review. They're enforcement. But there are also performance standards in the UDRO which apply to an application review. And if we just stick to what's written in section 5, we very often will miss reviewing and making sure that those performance standards are being looked at and discussed as they are, their applicability to a review. Follow me, John? So, it's something that to be developed. It's nothing we're gonna hash out tonight,
No.
not with the giddy state that we're in, so.
In Augusta, they are discussing the, you can build another house on the lot.
Oh.
LD 2003, yep.
Yeah, they're discussing it and going, hold it a second.
Yeah.
Look, they're telling you to do what?
Some of our local representatives have, not just here in Western Maine, but any other rural part of the state is like, wait a second, we don't have 10,000 people, we don't have public transit, what are you doing to us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Believe me, the code officers have been like, not happy.
Yeah. So, I will try to bring the copy of this that contains all that. Oh, yeah, I was supposed to bring it to this meeting.
The only other question I have is, do we have any obligation to respond to any of the public comments that were made tonight?
There were some comments that were made that were specific to the UDRO. I think that might be something, we would draft a response to, because if they were specific and brought it up in correlation with our UDRO, which we have the authority to enforce and vote on, then I think yes. That's just my opinion as your code officer. That's up to the board.
Some of the comments actually referred to, section and page.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, they weren't just talking through their hat.
There was, the word injunction was thrown out here tonight. That's definitely not in our bailiwick.
No.
No, and there are some things which deal with our enforcement issues because they deal with issues from previous projects which are no longer open for review.
Right. Yeah, we can't even talk about it here. Unless the applicant shows up, right? Isn't that what we were told by Shelley?
Pretty much so,
Yeah.
yeah. However, one thing that, given the interest that we have right now in stormwater runoff, it probably behooves us to look at impact of other projects, again, when we get back into reviewing the application when it's legal to do so.
This Merrill Hill application,
right,
you mean? Yes,
right.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, I hope you didn't take offense to my question, because
No,
it really was.
I hope
just a
I hope
question. Yeah.
you didn't take offense to that, but But
It's
I
too
mean,
late
but,
for
you know,
this.
but
I
to me,
just-
it's like putting a bug in his ear saying, look, you know, maybe you ought to think about the future.
I wanted
you
to
know.
cross the I and,
Yeah.
and dot the I and cross the T, and what could have been deemed inappropriate by some people.
Yeah.
So I wanted the board to address that.
No, I take no offense at all. I take no offense.
Other than kicking you under the table.
But,
I make a motion that we adjourn,
I'll second.
or is there more business to discuss?
No, I don't think there's any more business to discuss. The next meeting is
June 7th.
June
June
7th at 6:30.
Yep.
All those in favor of adjourning?
1, 2.
3, and it's adjourned.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.